Hello.
Hello.
We're glad to be with you. Yeah.
Oh, hello there. We're glad to be with you.
It's very exciting to be here, and we're going to talk about something that without it there is no genuine relationship. Something that is so powerful. You'll be wondering what could that be? Yeah.
It's on how communication affects our relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Powerful. Mm.
Things hardly get done. I mean, this is the life wire of any leadership, life wire of any relationship.
Absolutely.
If you find any relationship collapse, most likely, communication is the problem. And that communication has broken down. So it breaks down, the relationship breaks down.
Absolutely. Talking about communication here, women have different reasons to communicate and men have different reasons to communicate. And because we don't understand those reasons, we seem to read meaning into what the other is saying without actually understanding why they are saying it and what they are actually saying. Now, we do know again that there are different ways to communicate. It's just not just verbal communication, which most of us seem to really understand. But if we understand these things about communication, our lives will be much easier. Our relationships will be more sweeter. How about that?
It's the truth. Now, something about communication is that it starts with me. Starts with the first person before you talk about the other. Many times you find out that what we have in mind is not what we actually say. So you have one thing in mind and what you say has a different connotation or it's ambiguous. So one cannot clearly say this is what you mean. You mean to say this, but you have said something that means more than one thing, or you have said something that has a different meaning. And when it happens that way, there's a problem, a big problem in the communication line.
At that point, I believe that what we should all do, which I do and which my husband too does, is what do you really mean? What did you want to say? Those are very key aspects of communication. You need feedback, and if the feedback is not commensurate with what the person started up with, then you want to make sure you get the proper feedback. As I earlier started, I said that men have different reasons for communication and women do have different reasons. The main reason for a woman communicating is for connection. A woman wants to connect. She wants to be affirmed. She wants to reconnect or connect. And most times when a woman talks, you'll discover that they are more into relationships. You're talking with a lady and asking, how is she doing? Oh, she's fine. And how are the children? And she goes off with the children. Or she goes off with the spouse. Or with if they're in a good relationship, of course. Or she goes off with the fiancé, depending on who she has a connection with. So you discover that women tend more towards relationships. They thrive on relationships. And once a relationship begins to break down for a woman, it is that she is not being heard or she is not feeling connected to her partner, her spouse. So we want to ensure that we know why women communicate, and most times as a man you want to give an ear to what she's saying. Not necessarily the feedback as to, yeah, do this or do that, which I know men mostly want to do or want to say, but it's mostly, oh really? Is that what happened? So what happened next? I mean, you'll get her talking. I'm not saying, to get you staying awake through the night while she's talking, but, give an ear. And once you begin to get into that habit, you discover you've gained your wife, your friend, your fiancé, or whoever it is you're in relationship with, that is a woman.
Well, when people start off in what they call a love relationship, everything seems to be perfect. Everything seems to be in order. There's abundance and superabundance of forgiveness. There's superabundance of willingness to go the extra mile. I mean, you are ready to stretch and not feel the pains. You are ready to do extra and ignore whatever is done. But it appears that many times, as soon as people feel they have settled down, they begin to read meanings into things. The same person that used to, you will speak and the person doesn't respond, now he's not responding immediately, offends you. So it has to do with the conversations we hold within us. When you used to give the extra room or create extra room, give more understanding, the conversation within you is maybe she doesn't hear. The conversation is quite different from the conversation when you are in the relationship. The conversation within you is, he is ignoring me or she is ignoring me, she is spiting me. And because of the meaning you are giving to that not responding immediately, the way you are going to treat it is not going to be the same. It won't even allow you, won't empower you to, treat that with understanding.
Absolutely. Understanding is key here. If you're speaking to someone and the person says or is in front of the TV or reading a newspaper, I know that I'm not having the full attention of that person. So, at that point you might miss mostly what the person is saying, or you would get a part of it and misinterpret the rest. So, here it's giving full attention, which is lacking a lot. We don't listen. That is a very strong, area of negligence in our relationships, listening. So getting back to where we want to understand, if we want to understand the other person, key is listening. Not just looking with your eyes, but giving that full attention for those few minutes that you have to talk. And the other thing I want to add there is, if you are in a relationship, at the beginning, yes, give attention, but find out what are the values of this person. What are the beliefs of this individual? What are the standards that he or she upholds? What are the goals that they are aspiring in life? Because this is communication at the beginning. So it's not just about how good you feel and how emotional and the cloud nine that you are on at that time, but it is coming down to the level of where you can understand the person at the earth level so that you can go on together in life.
It's absolutely interesting to observe, but it's a problem. The problem is that we start off this thing we want to live with basically with emotions in mind.
Absolutely.
Emotions kicks in and you hardly think of where are we going. That's one. Number two, will this person always be like this? Is this how nice this person will always be? At the beginning, the man is the rattler. He talks and initiates conversations. And the woman is just in awe. Oh, it's so wonderful.
Why do you think that is? Is it that he wants to catch, bait and catch
the man has, he knows that the people who have gone through some form of training, some have received some information from the internet and all that on how to catch a lady's attention. And let me tell you, let me use this opportunity to tell you, we are speaking as husband and wife for 2 decades. Most of the websites that are there to tell you to date anybody and find a friend and all that, many are just to take advantage of your ignorance. That's aside. But the truth is that most relationships that people think should last, they are built on the wrong foundation. Those foundations are too weak. They are purely on sentiments, infatuations. Oh, I love it. You don't love somebody you don't know. Well, we are talking about communication. I just want to give you some tips. I got this from Norman Wright. And there are 6 hurdles according to Norman Wright. And number 1 is what you mean to say. Number 2 hurdle is what you actually said, which agrees with what we started out with. And number 3 hurdle is what the other person hears. And number 4 hurdle is what the other person thinks he hears. So he hears it, but what he thinks he hears is different from what he actually heard. And then the number 5 hurdle is what the other person says about what you say. So You see, the order goes on, and number 6 is what you think the other person said about what you said. Now, we have all these hurdles to overcome so that you actually transmit what's inside of you into the mind of the other person. Now, what that brings about is you can have genuine intentions, but being able to transmit that and getting the feedback that the other person actually understands you is a different thing.
Absolutely.
And these are the skills we need to learn in our relationships.
Absolutely. Now, before we end, I just want to say a bit on as to how the man, when he communicates, what does he expect? Now, a man is a problem solver by nature, and he wants to communicate to you, he wants to talk with you as a woman, as his wife or spouse or fiancé, to solve your pain. If you're telling him anything about what happens, he wants to jump in and provide the answer. So you hear him say, yeah, this is what to do, this is how to do it. That is the man for you. So when a man is communicating, he's pinpointing for, the problem and then the solution. He wants to provide the solution. So if you think in that term of, why is he talking like this? Why is he straight on like this? He wants to go straight to the point, and he wants to, leave out the details. Just let me know what the problem was, and then he wants to provide the answer. That is how the man is wired. Now, so when these two individuals stay together, and the woman comes from another angle, the man comes from this other angle, there must be a meeting point. And that meeting point is in understanding. What I've said to you here is, if you apply it in your relationships, it's key to the success of your relationships.
Absolutely. Just before we go, wherever you're watching this, I believe that you have a place to leave your details, and that's your first name and your email address, and then it will be a joy to get right back to you. Now, before we conclude, I want to salute this young lady. I love her with all of my heart, but I want you to listen to what he said, and I want to speak to our main spoke. Now, learn. It's not part of our nature. It's not natural to learn to your wife or your lady with your emotions. You are likely going to learn with the logic. Listen with your logical side, where you reason out everything. I am beginning to learn. Can you imagine? I'm beginning to learn after 20 years is when I'm now beginning to learn. But I've seen that this is the way forward. Learn to listen to your spouse with that ear of feeling her pain. What is she trying to say? The sentiment in it should not be ignored. Now, when you do this, don't just do it so that you feel like, oh, I've done what they say I should do. Do it genuinely from your heart because you want to connect. Learn to do it and mean it. Find out, okay, what are you trying to say? How are you feeling about it? Okay, I can imagine how you feel about that, because it's those feelings that matter to them.
Absolutely.
Now, I also want to say something to our ladies. Please, every time should not be about how you feel. You want to really connect with your spouse, talk about his work. Find out how he's doing in his business, what he's looking at, because sometimes a man can be so driven by what he wants to achieve, he can't discuss it. And when he sees that you don't understand what he's going through, he thinks you are crazy. You are just disturbing. You are just mundane. You don't think about any serious thing that he's doing. Now, these are serious. Most times we seek to offer what we want. That's a mistake. So in communicating, you talk about what you want. But if you learn the art of giving what the other person wants, and I tell you the other person learns to give you what you want, communication flows.
Absolutely. So here we want to say thank you for listening to us, Robert and Enomfon Ntefon here, and we'll come back to you next time through the same road. Bye for now.
Bye, and God bless you.